Wow, it is literally hotter than Africa in here. And trust me, I know, I've been to Africa. Welcome back, lovely people of the internet. As always, I'm Seth, and welcome back to my page, Sincerely Seth. It's been a hot minute, so let's get right to it. And excuse me if I start like profusely sweating halfway through this video. I just moved to a new apartment and I'm paying for my own heating and electricity bill. So yeah, for those that are new to the adult world, bills hit different. They really do. So I'm making sacrifices and cutting corners just to make sure that like I have a little bit of money to my name. One of those sacrifices is I could just ride it out in 85 to 90 degree weather in my apartment, which is fine. Tank tops were invented for that exact reason. I have a ceiling fan that's going because that doesn't waste as much electricity as the AC does. So hopefully I'll survive. But if you just see me like dabbing every once in a while, that's just my sweat. Like face dabbing, not the, you know, the dance dabbing. The dance is overrated and it's been way too overdone. But that's just a whole little side rant that I could make a whole other video about. But that's not what this video is about. This video is to tell everyone that I just got back from seeing the new Lion King movie. This is essentially a review for it. So, as always, I feel like a lot of these review videos start off like this, and I should for all those people that need to know. But, spoiler warning. Huge spoiler warning. I'm going to be saying a lot of random things that actually happen in the movie. So if you plan on seeing it, spoiler warning. I spilled my water. But spoiler warning if you have plans on seeing it. Also, I feel like I should be giving a spoiler warning to a movie that essentially came out in 1997. The plot's not that different. So like, if this is a spoiler for you, then you're like well over 2 decades late. But that's a whole other thing. Okay, let's get cracking. The new Lion King movie, 2019, with Donald Glover, Beyonce, the works, Seth Rogen, I think. Anyway, here are the things that the movie did well, that I particularly loved about it. Okay. This is the one thing that I keep raving about this movie. The animation. Like, the CGI quality in this movie, guys. Like, the CGI quality. I remember literally the first intro scene, that first hit. I was like, oh, that's not bad, that's pretty good. But then, they show like the landscape and these animals, and you're like, this is incredible. Like, this isn't real. These aren't real animals that they train to act and sing and dance. Because it looks like it. Like, it's weird. Because I feel like I overuse this phrase, oh, we're in 2019 now. Like, I say that a lot whenever I see technology, but like, this actually applies here. Like, we are literally in 2019 where they can make, you know, CGI animals that look so realistic. Like, the hairs on their faces. It's outrageous. And I couldn't help but think about the animators that had to kind of spend time away from their families and kids in order to animate every single speck of hair, every single blade of hair on Simba's little head, because Disney was like, hey, we need accuracy. And they're like, but what about my children? And I was like, no, we need everyone to see every little blade of hair on Simba's hair. I keep saying blade of hair because it reminds me of blade of grass. I'm pretty sure it's just follicle of hair, but that's too many syllables. Blade of hair works, you know what I mean. The animation, incredible. Outside of just the animals, the landscape, as I mentioned, is also amazing. Like the sunsets, the beautiful jungle canopy. And I'm not like an authority on African landscapes just because I come from one specific country and I'm used to one specific kind of landscape and it's not really that naturey. But like for the things that I've seen in like Nat Geo, it looks pretty damn good. Excuse my French, but it looks pretty good. It's mind-blowing the things that they were able to, you know, manifest with computers. Okay, second thing, the attention to detail outside of just, you know, the animation. I like the attention to detail when it comes to like little elements of like animals that like we just don't necessarily think about. Like there's this thing that I absolutely love. Simba's ear, every once in a while it'll just like flicker. It'll just flicker. Like, just twitch a little bit. And I think that's so good and that's so accurate because if you are a cat owner back home, if you own animals, if you own cats, you know that like their ears just twitch or their tails just, you know, jump every once in a while because they essentially have a mind of their own. The movie was so good about staying true to those little things and trying to get as much photorealism as possible. So like, I just admired that. I wanted to give that all the praise. I appreciate how, as an entire piece, it never really like dragged on at any point. It kept a consistent tone from beginning to end, and you really just like follow the movie alone from beginning to end, just kind of like getting yourself invested in it. It kept your attention, but also The Lion King is one of my favorite movies of all time, so of course it's going to keep my attention. But you kind of like, I went into it trying to keep an ear to the ground to figure out what are the things that are the same, what are the things that are different. So like that kind of sense of anticipation that I had going into it, that kept my attention. So the movie never had like a point where I'm like, I'm losing interest, I'm tuning out. So that's great. That's a big plus one for it. The comedy. The movie was actually very, very, very funny. It does a lot of the same jokes that the original did with some new twists on the kind of the novel ones, which I really appreciate, because for those that have memorized every line to the old ones like me, you kind of go into it being like, it's going to be just what I know. And in some parts, yes, but in many parts, no. There's deviations. Seth Rogen really spiced it up with the character of Pumbaa, and I know it sounds like I'm just biased towards Seth, but I am a little biased towards Seth. Similar names, we have to look out for each other. But they were genuinely funny lines, and every once in a while they'll deviate in a way that kind of stayed enticing and clever. There were clever references to pop culture. There were even clever references to Disney. There was a scene in which, in the old movie, they put Timon in drag, and he danced around Pumbaa, who had an apple in his mouth because he was pretending to be a meal. In the new one, Timon references "Be Our Guest" from Beauty and the Beast. So little things like that where Disney's like, we're one corporation, it's essentially our songs, we can't like rip off our own thing. So they just did that, and I thought that was just like such a clever, witty way to go about it, and I really, really appreciate the ways in which they kind of like kept our interest when it came to the humor. The music, it is essentially a musical, so it's acting and singing. So I'd be remiss not to mention the incredible music in this film. Yeah, we all know that the first installment of Lion King, the original animated film, had amazing music, and you know, it was the formative element to a lot of people's adolescence, right? So the fact that this movie essentially stayed true to those songs that we grew up with, while still at the same time offering slight variations and like new twists, and even a new song written by a Beyonce that was plugged in there that I thought was absolutely amazing, because well, Beyonce is just incredible as a performer and as an artist. So it's just they did a great job embodying the music that a lot of us grew up with, while still at the same time making it seem fresh and new and kind of interesting. One of the things that a lot of people have mixed feelings about was the Be Prepared from Scar, because the intro song, instead of singing it like he does in the animated movie, he kind of talks it, and then it builds and it builds, and then out of nowhere he starts belting. A lot of people are kind of iffy on that. Personally, I love that. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and it fit the tone perfectly. I guess this is the part of the video where the sun decided to just go away and hide behind some clouds, and now my lighting is all weird and wonky. So just bear with it, because it just naturally goes away again after a while and then comes right back. But you know, it is what it is. That's the joy of using natural lighting instead of artificial ring lights or whatever the other YouTubers use. So thank you, nature. Back to the programming. It does this amazing foundation building so that when it does actually reach the chorus, like you feel it. The contrast, the juxtaposition works super, super well, because the whole time he's kind of menacingly building and he's crescendoing. You feel that like his frustration and his resentment for Mufasa grow and build, and then eventually he gets to the point where he just stops talking and starts singing in a very majestic, powerful, like booming voice. And it works so well. It's just so well. The characters, the various characters. A lot of characters got fleshed out a little bit more in this one than previous. Shenzi, I believe, is the name, the head of the hyena clan. I didn't really consider a lot, you know, about her in the original animated movie. I just thought she was just one of the pack of hyenas. In this one, she kind of is given this beast mode mama of the herd, like the queen kind of status. And I think it works super, super well for this movie, because since it's quote unquote live action, you get a chance to kind of like introduce a little bit more of these characters and take the time to build into them. Nala also had just like a more incredible character arc. You get to see her and Shinji go at it. It's this beautiful kind of like back and forth that happens, where it's these two very powerful women pitted against each other with ideals that are incredibly different. But ultimately, you kind of root for both of them, because it's this nice feminist empowering moment. So I love that. Simba gets a chance to kind of like come into his own slowly but surely in the moments that he's able to like, you know, establish his own doubt. As everyone knows, the death of Mufasa is kind of the most heartbreaking moment in all of our childhood, and I think Donald Glover does a great job kind of embodying that distraught nature and that emotionality, that's a great sense of loss. So absolutely amazing job done by the cast and kind of embodying these characters, but also amazing job done by the new writers for kind of flushing out these characters that we kind of have grown so accustomed to loving for such a long time. And now the critiques. I know it's an amazing movie and I shouldn't tear it apart. Thankfully I'm not everything wrong with blank in blank seconds. You know that page? It's one of my favorite pages on YouTube. If you don't follow them, go ahead and follow them. They're amazing. But I'm not that page. I don't just sit here and rag on movies. But I'd be remiss not to mention the things that the movie could have done better. The film, although pretty good, had some subtle flaws that kind of made it hard for me as a Disney fan and, you know, an African to like fully get into and thoroughly enjoy. So I'm just gonna go into them, and hopefully people don't hate me too much. Be nice to me, internet people. As a critic, I do it out of love because I have a great amount of respect for these movies, so please go easy on me. Thing number one, I feel like the tempo, although it kept my attention a lot, there were times when the tempo, like the cadence and the speed of the movie would just like have many hiccups. I don't know the best way to explain it aside from the fact that like there'd just be certain lines that were either rushed or like unnecessarily slowed. And I was just like, what's the point of this? The timing feels off. And a lot of that is due to like background music. Sometimes there'll be present really good instrumentals in the background kind of steadying and establishing the tone. And other times it just wouldn't be there. It'd just be eerily silent, especially for moments that are a little bit funny. There's a scene in where Simba and Nala play with each other and they kind of just roll around and they like fake wrestle. And we all know that scene. But that scene was just quiet when it comes to the musical score in the background. So then these, you know, young cubs are laughing and wrestling with each other, but the moment feels forced and awkward and not necessarily that full of emotion. And I don't know what it is, but it's just kind of like, sometimes when the music doesn't really line up with the words when it comes to like setting the tone. There's times with the words when they should be impactful and deep, such as the conversation that Mufasa has with Simba after he saves him and Nala from the elephant graveyard. That conversation in some parts felt rushed when I really wanted it to be slowed down and established as like a good father-son bonding moment. But they kind of just tromped through it and it just moved fast. And you're just like, what's going on? Why was that kind of just rushed? But then, and I kid you not, they commit like 50 minutes, I'm exaggerating, it wasn't 50 minutes, they commit a lot of time to like following like the journey of Simba's tuft of hair as it finds its way back to Rafiki. Like, there was so much screen time given to this little piece of hair. And again, full spoiler warning, this piece of hair gets eaten by a giraffe, pooped out, then rolled down a hill by a dung beetle, and we're still following it. Step by painstaking step. Like, it was kind of funny, but also it tried to be really like beautiful. So you didn't know whether you're supposed to laugh at it or not, but you're just sitting there like, am I really just watching crap on a screen in 3D? Like literally just watching literal crap. At the same time, deep, insightful, profound monologues by Mufasa are rushed. So I don't get that. They need to get that sorted out because I didn't like it one bit. Another thing that I kind of thought could have done better, and a lot of people already complained about this, is the emotionality of the animals in the movie. I know that they were trying really hard to go for this photorealism thing, but like at the end of the day, I think we watch films in order to be able to kind of like connect at an emotional level to the characters that we're perceiving. I know it's a big ask of the animators to create animals that emote as well as humans just because their facial structures are different. But at the same time, like we abandon belief and just fully allow them to, you know, have the same words as we do. Like these animals, these lions are speaking English, but linguistically they don't have the articulators to make some of the sounds that we as humans can make. But nobody's sitting there like, oh, that lion shouldn't be able to make that hard B sound. Like, no, we don't do that. We just kind of accept it as a fictional thing. So at the same time, I feel like if they have found a way, I don't know, it might be an impossible ask, but find a way to incorporate more emotionality within the faces of these animals. It definitely would have sold a lot of those scenes a little bit more. Because in addition to just feeling rushed in some parts, it was hard to just connect to the animals in some parts because it's hard to read the emotion in their face. And as human beings, we're very much so facial cue driven. We interpret facial expressions very, very well. So when that's lacking, even in an entertainment setting, it just doesn't hit the right chord with me. So that was one of the things that kind of bothered me. Lastly, the music. I feel like, as amazing as the music was, I feel like they really dropped the ball in not incorporating more of the Lion King Broadway soundtrack into it. As a person who loves the Lion King animated movie and also, got a chance to see the Lion King Broadway production, not on Broadway because I'm not that bougie, but just in my local formal theater that puts on, that Broadway tours come to. And I absolutely loved that production. It's my favorite musical to this day. Like, it's just such a spectacle. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and see it. There are some amazing musical elements that were lacking in the animated movie from 1997 that are present in the Broadway film, and I felt like they were alluded to in this film. Like, the score was played subtly in the background, but the songs weren't actually sung. And I feel like if you have Donald Glover, who's just an amazing musician, if you have Beyonce, like, not using their musical abilities to the full extent that you can, it's a huge drop of the ball on your part as like a producer and a writer, because these people can sing so well. Like, Donald Glover can riff out this world. Like, he's incredible. Can You Feel the Love Tonight was just an amazing rendition by the both of them. So it's just kind of like, why not use them to sing these amazingly composed Broadway pieces? Not even the full thing, you can't even shorten it, but like include those in the movie. I felt like they dropped the ball because I would have absolutely loved to hear songs like Shadowland or He Lives in You in that movie, because I love them in the Broadway production. But all in all, I thoroughly did enjoy the movie. Like, I feel like I'm ragging on it, but a lot of things were done super, super well. More things were done well than things that were done poorly. That's just a testament to the fact that, movies have gotten significantly better, and the amount of energy and effort being put into them are just exponentially higher than they used to be. And that's a credit to the director. The director of the new Lion King movie also plays Happy Hogan in the MCU. So if you're a big comic book nerd, just know that, like, Happy Hogan directed Lion King, and that made me happy to find out about Happy. Okay, that pun was unintended, so don't hate me. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic job, well done in all their parts. Everyone who kind of presented a new and fresh take on something that's just so, not worn out, but just like so foundational to a lot of people's identities, in order to like take something that people hold so near and dear to their heart and still do something good with it. That's impressive. So like, I give all the kudos to the amazingly extensive staff that worked on the film. One last kind of little bit of praise that I want to give before I go. You guys made Scar so terrifying in this movie, and I love it. Like, he's so scary, and I don't know why he's so scary. Like, he's not even scary to like the hyenas, because the hyenas are just kind of like, oh, it's a mutual partnership. Because in the anime movie, they were like, oh, we're scared of Scar, Scar don't hurt us. But in this one, it's a mutual partnership. But like, he's just so scary to the audience and to the other lions when Mufasa was gone. He's just such a daunting and powerful presence. And that's in part to the actor, but also in part to just the writing and the animation and the composition. So like, as an entire film, I really appreciate what they did with a good villain, because, as a theater kid who used to love playing villains, I appreciate a good villain. A villain really, more often than not, makes the story, because it gives the hero something really solid to play off against. So kudos to that as well. And if you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and see it. Do yourself that favor, especially if you grew up with a film like I did. As an African kid growing up in the US of A, anything that alluded to Africa kind of made my heart happy. So I watched, The Lion King, I watched Tarzan, and I love those movies because they didn't necessarily make me feel like I was back home, because my home did not look like that. But I loved hearing music that was similar to like music that I grew up with, or just knowing in the back of my head that this took place on the same continent that I was born. So yeah. That's kind of my spoiler-filled review of The Lion King 2019. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. As always, it's a pleasure. Go ahead and follow me on all social media if you haven't yet. SincerelySeth everywhere except Twitter. Stay tuned for new videos. I'll try to post them as often as I can. I get busy. Life is really picking up. I got a new job, so things are really going places. So yeah, stay tuned and just kind of continue to come and support your boy. And if you have any questions or comments, if you saw the movie and liked something or disagree or whatever, drop it in the comments below. Engage in dialogue with me, because I hate feeling like I'm talking to myself. So please do. Be good to your neighbor, be good to everyone, and just be nice. Anyway, always a pleasure. Till next time, peace. That's really high def. You can see like every little follicle on my face. Or should I say blade on my face. Shout out to Canon for making quality cameras, really bringing out the definition of my face. So now I get to essentially be right there with you. But I'll give you some personal space because I know I don't want to be all up in your space like that. We just met. Relax. Take me to dinner first.
Look at how outrageous these socks are. Just look at them.